Has the Pentagon confirmed one of the biggest challenges of President Trump's Iran campaign as concerns grow over depleted U.S. missile stockpiles? Did months of conflict with Iran significantly reduce America's warfighting capabilities and strain its precision weapons inventory? Were 5 months of sustained military operations enough to sharply reduce some of the U.S. military's most critical missile stockpiles? Did Iran believe the United States would eventually face growing pressure from shrinking missile inventories during the prolonged conflict? From THAAD and Patriot interceptors to Tomahawk cruise missiles, are key U.S. weapon stockpiles now under unprecedented pressure? The U.S. military used nearly 80% of its THAAD interceptor stockpile during the Iran conflict, according to a CNN report. Reports also say the United States has expended roughly half of its Patriot missile inventory since the conflict with Iran began. Senior U.S. military commanders are reportedly warning that stockpiles of several key precision munitions have reached dangerously low levels. The THAAD air defense system plays a critical role in intercepting ballistic missiles at high altitudes and protecting strategic military assets. Patriot air defense systems have also been used extensively to intercept Iranian ballistic missiles, cruise missiles, and drone attacks throughout the conflict. CNN reported that the U.S. Army has consumed virtually all of its available long-range precision strike missiles during recent operations. Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, were among the precision weapons reportedly depleted after months of sustained combat operations. The report also said the Army's newer precision strike missiles, or PRSMs, were heavily consumed during recent military operations. U.S. stockpiles of Tomahawk cruise missiles have also reportedly declined significantly following months of intensive military operations. The Center for Strategic and International Studies estimated the United States possessed approximately 452 THAAD interceptors before the conflict began. CSIS also estimated that the United States had roughly 2,200 modern Patriot interceptor missiles before the outbreak of the war. The shrinking missile inventories have raised concerns about America's readiness for potential high-intensity conflict in the Indo-Pacific region. Several Gulf allies have reportedly warned that lower U.S. missile stockpiles could weaken regional defenses against future missile and drone threats. A number of America's regional partners rely heavily on THAAD and Patriot air defense systems to protect critical energy infrastructure. CNN reported that concerns over munitions shortages were discussed before President Trump decided to halt planned military strikes against Iran. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly received the initial authorization before the planned operation was later placed on hold. On August 4, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth publicly rejected CNN's report and denied claims that the U.S. military is facing a critical weapons shortage. A new report claimed the U.S. has used virtually all of its long-range precision missiles during the war with Iran, raising fresh concerns over America's military stockpiles. The depleted inventory reportedly includes Army Tactical Missile Systems, or ATACMS, along with newer precision strike missiles, according to the Times of Israel. Sources told the report that the prolonged 5-month conflict had sharply reduced U.S. inventories of key long-range precision-guided weapons. The report said the declining missile stockpile has raised concerns about America's readiness to respond to any future large-scale military conflict. Analysts warned that shrinking inventories could weaken U.S. deterrence against major adversaries such as Russia and China if another crisis emerged. One source said U.S. Central Command had replenished part of its inventory by transferring munitions from other regional commands during the conflict. However, the sources declined to reveal how many ATACMS or precision strike missiles the United States still has available in its remaining arsenal. The U.S. is now seeking billions of dollars to rebuild missile stocks after months of intense operations in the Iran war, reflecting how quickly modern conflicts drain high-end munitions. On July 31st, Bloomberg revealed that the Pentagon has submitted a new $67 billion emergency request, a package explicitly tied to the ongoing Iran conflict and its costs. Within that broader request, $18.2 billion has been earmarked to replace key missiles used during recent operations, focusing on the most advanced interceptors and cruise weapons. The funding plan has been formally submitted to U.S. Senate and House Defense Committees, signaling that Congress is now being asked to sign off on this rapid rearmament push. Bloomberg's report comes after months of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets and repeated defensive interceptions against incoming missiles and drones across the region. The Pentagon's shopping list includes about $5.75 billion dedicated just to THAAD interceptors, reflecting how heavily the high-altitude shield was relied on during the war. Another $5.57 billion are set aside for Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles, the Army's frontline air defense rounds that have been fired repeatedly to stop Iranian attacks. Around $1.9 billion would go to Standard Missile-6 interceptors, a versatile Navy weapon used for both air and missile defense in contested waters. Some $1.3 billion is earmarked for new Tomahawk cruise missiles, replenishing the long-range strike inventory that has been used for precision hits on Iranian targets. A further $1 billion would fund SM-3 Block IIA interceptors, crucial for exo-atmospheric missile defense and increasingly central to US-led protection. About $992 million is allocated to AMRAAM air-to-air missiles, ensuring US fighter jets can continue to engage hostile aircraft and drones without worrying about shortages. The list also includes roughly $692 million for precision strike missiles, expanding the Army's ability to hit key ground targets at long range with conventional warheads. US officials say this emergency request reflects growing concerns over America's missile stockpiles, which have been visibly strained by sustained high-tempo operations. American forces fired 13,629 munitions during the recent Iran conflict, according to Bloomberg, a figure that highlights just how intense and prolonged the campaign has become. Pete Hegseth notes that the request also includes around $21 billion to speed up missile procurement, aiming to push industry to deliver faster and in greater volume. Part of that accelerated funding is targeted at lower-cost precision munitions, which planners hope will carry more of the burden in future operations without exhausting high-end stocks as quickly. Bloomberg's breakdown suggests the funding could buy about 1,137 Patriot PAC-3 MSE interceptors, significantly rebuilding the air defense magazine after months of heavy use. It could also fund roughly 479 THAAD interceptors, restoring the high-altitude layer that has protected bases and allies from Iranian ballistic threats. Around 462 Tomahawk cruise missiles could be purchased, reloading US and Allied ships and submarines with long-range precision firepower. The plan includes enough money for about 442 SM-6 interceptor missiles, bolstering the Navy's ability to defend fleets and coastal assets against complex air attacks. Finally, about 433 precision strike missiles could be acquired, expanding the Army's capacity to strike critical nodes deep inside an adversary's territory. Defense analysts point out that the request may not perfectly match the exact number of missiles fired, suggesting it reflects broader planning rather than pure one-for-one replacement. Some line items closely match estimated Patriot and THAAD expenditure during the war, implying those systems are being replenished almost directly for what was used in combat. However, analysts note that other missile requests appear lower than estimated combat consumption, raising questions over whether the Pentagon is also relying on future production boosts and allied stockpiles.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.